Hey everybody, welcome. Obsolete Punks here. Two of us anyhow. You got Losty, you got Timmy. Trying something new once again for our channel here, just for the fun of creating something different for you guys to check out. We're going to be doing some tier lists here. Everybody loves a good tier list, so figured it would be fun. And we had kind of had some rules as to how we're going to do it, so I'll kind of run through that real quick. So any bands that we come up with, we have six tiers that we're doing. S, A, B, C, D, and we added the dreaded F. So the rules are you have to have at least one album in every tier. You can have multiples and tiers, but you can only have one S, you can only have one F. And what makes that fun is in the big scheme of music, it might not be an S tier album,
Mhm,
but it's an S tier for the band.
mhm,
And it could be far from an F tier in the world, but in their catalog, hmm, probably not their best. So
mhm.
that's going to make it fun. So, like I said, bands that we come up with, they have to have at least six albums. So, geniuses that we are, we decided, hey, let's start with the band that has 17 studio albums. That's excluding the Christmas album because, how do you judge that in their catalog? So we got 17 studio albums to go. How are you feeling about this, Losty?
I'm feeling good. This was a good place to start, actually. I think let's just go big from the beginning, and yeah,
Hell yeah.
not like get this one out of the way or anything, because I think that's going to be a fun one, and obviously a band that deserves a tier list. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
Absolutely. So on these albums, just to let you guys know, we're going to run through them chronological order of their release year. So that's going to see how that works out.
Mhm. Yeah.
So we can kick it off. Obviously, their first main release, How Could Hell Be Any Worse? From 1982. Where's that going to drop in your tier list there, Losty?
Well, I'll just start out by saying, yeah, I like the format we got going here, just one S, one F, and I like that you put the caveat on there that an F doesn't necessarily mean it's a terrible album. It just means it's, your least favorite of the catalog. And that's kind of the way I was trying to look at it. I was looking at like S is just going to be my favorite, F is going to be my least favorite. And I'm kind of looking at A, B, C, D as like A's no skips, B's some skips, C's like 50-50, D's kind of like just a few singles I like, and the rest of the album is, whatever. So that's
Yeah,
just my mindset and how I'm looking at this. So we're starting off with How Could Hell Be Any Worse? This is going in the A tier for me. It's an absolute classic, massively influential, obviously. The performances are so good for the era. I think there's a lot of stone cold bangers on that one. And I'm taking it in terms of the original 14 track release, not the reissues with 8085 and Back to the Known and all of that on it. That's probably why it ends up in the A tier. I think if I'm taking the reissue into account, maybe it goes in B tier. I don't know how, I guess we didn't really talk about that beforehand, which version we were doing, but I'm looking at it like the original release of 14
oh yeah,
tracks.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's got some of the best early punk songs ever written on it, and it's just great in that regard. So that's going A tier for me.
nice. Well, I'm going to get myself in trouble apparently right off the bat. I'm going C tier.
Wow.
I think it's actually kind of a rather standard early 80s hardcore LA punk, which they were kind of one of the pioneers of, but it sounds a lot like everybody else, with the exception of a few standout songs. So I don't think it's a horribly unique album overall. It's a good album. It's just fairly average to me, so I'm gonna go C tier.
I think the thing that really makes it stand out in that regard, because I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, it is like sound wise pretty typical of the era, but it just felt so much like tighter and cleaner and better played than anything else. And Greg's voice, even before it really changed into what his voice ended up being like, still felt like it was just like that much better than what other people
Yeah,
were doing. Yeah,
yeah, not a bad album. I just found it just the
sure.
songs overall just very pretty typical 1980s early hardcore punk. So
Yeah. Well, when you start looking at it,
nothing
the
wrong
rest of
with
their
that.
catalog too, like when you're
Yeah,
comparing it to the rest of their catalog, it's tough. Yeah.
that's kind of the problem as well. So
Mhm. Yeah.
All right, next up, we got
Mhm.
another absolute classic released in 1983, about 1 year after How Could Hell Be Any Worse? The infamous Into the Unknown. Where you going there, Losty?
Well, I will say I went back, I revisited it, I listened to it again a few times before we did this because it had been quite a while. Obviously, one of those albums that I think Bad Religion's a little maybe not ashamed of, but kind of wary of being out in the world in like any kind of big way. So but yeah, I went back and listened to it again, and it still ended up in the F tier for me. But
Throwing it
it
all the
ended
way in
up
the
in the F
bottom.
tier. Yeah, I know, but it ended up in the F tier with the caveat of listening to it again after many years of not hearing it. It's not terrible.
No,
It's not good for Bad Religion, but like I applaud the risk that they took on it, and I understand why they took the risk that they did on it. And like I said, there's some decently enjoyable songs on there, but it's
it's got
also
a
kind
couple.
of an it's also kind of an album that falls outside the genre a little bit, which made it tough to compete with the rest of the albums on here. But again, taking the risk and doing what they wanted to do, that's kind of punk as hell to me. So it's like I don't know, I don't know. I think there's some other like weirdo, not exactly punk stuff that I got into later in my life that made me appreciate this album a little bit more. And it often kind of like makes me wonder what this album would sound like had they recorded it 15 years later into their career, what
Hmm.
it would have been like. It's just a thought experiment that like kind of tickles my brain a little bit sometimes.
So I'm not going bottom tier, surprisingly.
It's,
So I'm going to admit, Into the Unknown. I think it's much better than a lot of people give it credit for. The only problem is twofold. Number one, it's a Bad Religion album because
yeah.
it doesn't sound anything like it. And the biggest problem I think they had with it was dropping it 1 year after their debut album, which everybody got pumped on as far as like hardcore punk. And then they threw out Into the Unknown, and everybody was like, what the fuck is this? So I don't think it's the worst album in their catalog, but it's still pretty down there because as far as Bad Religion goes, I'm going to go D tier. But again, it's not a horrible album in any
Yeah.
way. So, okay. We're moving up to 1988. The
Yeah.
Mighty
Big gap.
Suffer. The beginning of the modern Bad Religion era is what I call this now. So,
Can't see their lives are just like yours. An undiscovered and undiscovered door leading to the gift of hope renewed. Eternity for you. The masses of humanity have always had to suffer.
Suffer, where are you going?
It's S tier. I think I made that pretty clear when we listened to the album here on the channel in full. In my mind, it's on the short list of albums that started the whole modern punk, skate punk, genre, the whole epithet sound. Sonically, very ahead of its time, not just in terms of songwriting, but like in terms of performance. Like I said on How Could Hell Be Any Worse? I just feel like they were just so much tighter and better than a lot of the other bands, and Suffer just cemented that. Felt like a seismic shift, in the overall landscape of punk. Looking back on it now from the future, and at 15 songs and only 30 minutes, I just think it's infinitely listenable and enjoyable. It never
Mhm.
gets old. Somehow sounds of the time while also sounding timeless.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
there you go.
Yep. I'm also throwing it in S tier. And the caveat there is it's not even my favorite Bad Religion album, but it's so undeniably great. There's not a skip on the album. Every song is good.
So,
And just the importance it played in shaping modern punk is undeniable,
so
absolutely undeniable. So there's no place it can go except for S tier. Because I mean, like I said, it's not my favorite album, but it's definitely number two or three for sure, which is
yeah.
still
Yeah.
fantastic. So
Mhm.
love Supper. Fantastic. Then they took a year of kind of touring and still somehow in 1989 released No Control.
It's
That's
going in the
crazy.
eight tier. Yeah, I know, right? Oh, yeah, I know. This whole run here from 88 to 92 is just
Yeah.
yeah,
So
no controls A tier for me.
A tier.
Yeah. I think again when we did no control in the channel, I probably mentioned it or we talked about it a little bit. It's kind of Suffer 2.0, kind of just feels like an extension of Suffer, but every one of these albums just gets a little like more, a little like just ever so slightly.
Yeah.
But they
See,
all kind of
I don't understand when people say Suffer 2.0 because I
no,
find
okay.
just the sonic sound of it is so different. Uh, Much quicker changes where Suffer was kind of like longer, drawn out four counts continuously, where No Control, they're doing lots of like four counts, two counts kind of thing. So it really, I thought it made a lot of changes over Suffer.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. There's just something about like these four albums. I have a hard time untangling them. They're just like kind of one big album to me, even though I because each one just builds on what the previous one was doing and introduces some new stuff. But I'd say No Control probably has like some of my favorite Bad Religion songs on it overall, and I might actually prefer it to Suffer just in that way. But yeah, like we were saying, Suffer goes in the S tier just because it came first and laid the groundwork. But uh, yeah, where's No Control falling for you?
Uh, No Control, I'm tied with you right there. A
A
tier.
tier.
It's
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
nice.
So, so they toured for a year, and somehow during that year, wrote a whole bunch of songs and went back to the studio 1990 Against the Grain.
I had a friend who kept a candle in his pocket. He used to touch it when the wind was blowing high. I guess it made him feel like he could rock the system. And when it figured out, we laid him.
Oh man, these guys have
Another
been
great one.
busy.
Yeah,
So where are you going to throw Against the Grain?
it goes in the A tier.
A tier.
Just yeah, like I said, these four are all tied together to me.
Well, I'm going to go controversial.
Okay.
I'm going B tier. Caveat being though, it is a B plus, like very much a B plus, but it's still that lands in the B tier. This one I think had a lot more changes than Suffer No Control. Like this was a whole bigger step forward than what No Control was. And it has some absolute classic bangers on there, but it's just one I wouldn't call the song skips, but there's three or four songs that I hear and it's like, yeah, they're okay.
Yeah, I think just the way those
Controversial.
albums play out, they're as far as skips, even the songs I don't like quite as much, the songs are so short and like the immediacy of a lot of it that I just, you know, just blow right through it. It's like if I'm not digging it, it's like whatever, it'll be over in a minute and a half anyways.
I'm gonna say they actually took some time off. They waited until 1992 for their next album. So in 1992, the year they released Generator, first album with Bobby Scher as well. Pete Feinstone left the band after Against the Grain.
I'll remain unperturbed by the joy and the madness that I encounter everywhere I turn. I've seen it all along in books and magazines.
So Generator, we'll see if we get any controversial placings here. Where are you going?
I'm going A tier again. Like I said, these four I think are all, you know, it's S and A for me. I think you made a good point that it's not necessarily like these are the 2.0, 3.0, 4.0 versions of themselves. Because if you listen to Suffer and then immediately listen to Generator, you would hear a big difference in those albums. But it's just the way, like I said, the way they build on each other, it feels like it's one album spread over 4 years. Somehow I've just, yeah, again, just the way my brain hears it. But yeah, Generator's got some really cool not experimental stuff, but like unexpected. There was a lot of unexpected stuff on Generator that I think is still really unique in the punk world to this day.
Nice. Well, I think I'm going to go controversial once again. Here's the problem. Back in the day, yeah, this was definite A tier for me. But I think the problem with this one is I really got burned out on it a lot. And more I go back and listen, it has some, of course, some fantastic songs that I still love. And actually, Heaven is Falling is probably one of my very favorite songs they've ever done. Um, but there's something about it. beyond like big hits like Generator and whatever, Atomic Garden, whatever. A lot of it just comes off as not much energy to it. So I'm gonna go C tier for where it sits with me these days. It's just one. It's good. It's just
I
kind of middle of the road Bad Religion to me. So
would say some of those low energy generator songs, I like those a lot better than I like some of the later, like low energy Bad Religion songs. There's just, yeah, something a little extra about them. And I probably also, you were saying about hearing that album so many times, I probably had the benefit of Suffer No Control Against the Grain and Generator. I did not really get into old Bad Religion until I was like already in my 20s. So I kind of didn't have like a lot of years, like formative years of just wearing these records out. That's kind of
yeah,
like there's still somewhat 20 years on ish, they're still somewhat fresh for me, which is wild to say, but like I had all ages, and that was like kind of my Bad Religion go-to for a while. So I had like the hits, but I didn't have these full albums. So it was really cool to go back and finally, yeah, in those early 20s years, like just dive into those albums and listen to the deep cuts on there.
yeah. It was a journey. See where they
Mm-hmm.
came from. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, 1993. Recipe for Hate.
And custodians of public opinion stay back at the meeting discussing her rights. Lay hands off her body. It's not your fucking life.
This is an interesting one. Excited to hear what you
Yeah.
have to say.
Recipe for Hate goes in the B tier. I feel like maybe it's I could be talking out of my ass here, but maybe it's kind of a love or hate record for punk fans, maybe not Bad Religion fans, but just punk fans in general. And I guess I somewhat understand that with it being their major debut, even though Epitaph technically released it first before it went to major. Um, and how that album kind of expands on some of the more like mainstream, for lack of a better word, sounds that Bad Religion was introducing at the time, or maybe that they started to introduce on Generator. But I personally love how they leaned into kind of the Americana feel on that album. It just really gives it a lot of like catchy, soaring melodies, and there's admittedly some low points on there too. But at 14 songs, I think there's enough good stuff to cover up any of the low points. So some skips, but overall, I really enjoy that album.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say what I liked about Recipe for Hate is it kind of took what they were trying to do in Generator, but kind of umped it up a bit, just kind of perfected what they were trying to go for.
Mhm.
So sounded really good. So this one's another one where I have a caveat on my score, my final ranking of it though. It's also going to go in the C tier, but I would say it's a very solid B minus, like the bottom of the B minus, or a very solid C plus. So it's going to live in the C tier as the final ranking. Um, some really cool, interesting stuff they'd never done before on that album, which I liked
Mhm.
as well. Like you have some weird stuff like kerosene with like slide guitars, stuff like that.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm
They had
saying though.
never even done stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it
that
was
whole like
cool.
folksy country feel to stuff in there. It just works really well for them. Obviously, that's
Yeah.
I think that that's Greg's got kind of that Americana background, anyways, before he even started Bad Religion. So yeah, it's cool to see that influence start to come in on this album.
Here we go, 1994. We got ourselves a little Stranger Than Fiction. I think is probably their most commercially successful album, if I remember right.
Yeah, I would say
Um,
so.
It screams of forgotten victims and the cries of innocence and the desperate plea for recognition and recompense. Tiny voices, echoes of our heritage.
so that was 1994. What are you thinking of the 1994
So
album?
Stranger Than Fiction, I am objectively wrong here, but
That's right.
you
I've
know
been objectively wrong the whole entire list. So.
yeah, but that's the whole thing, right? Like a tier list is all about your personal taste. So that's definitely where I was going with this. Stranger Than Fiction ends up in the A tier for me. I think that probably is pretty controversial, but I don't really
Wait, you
care.
said A?
It's A tier for me.
What's
Yeah.
controversial about that?
No, okay. I don't know. I hear a lot of people shit talk this album. Um,
Really?
oh yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
I understand it, I guess, if you're gonna be like a purist about it. And it's like, yeah, you're saying it's their most commercially successful one. It's on
That's
a major
probably why people
label.
are complaining about it.
Potentially, yeah. It's sound wise, maybe not what it's not Suffer, and that's fine. Like the way I the reason I have it up there is because it was like not only my first Bad Religion album, but it was one of my first punk albums, period. Like when I was 14, that's when I really like started to I'd listened to Green Day and Offspring and stuff, but I didn't understand that those were punk bands. It just was grunge or alternative to me. I didn't even know that like punk was really a thing as much. I mean, I kind of knew No Effects and some of the older classic punk stuff of the time, but suburban white kid at 14 years old, it kind of like confused me and maybe even scared me a tiny bit. And Bad Religion's Stranger Than Fiction was the album that like bridged the gap for me between like the alternative and grunge stuff I was actually listening to and the punk stuff that I was starting to get interested in. Like what is this all about actually? And this album bridged the gap for me. So it was just that album that like turned the lights on in terms of punk rock. And I just think I genuinely love every song on it. It's got a great mix of up tempo and mid tempo stuff. The guitar works great. The melodies are excellent. It's still just a bunch of songs that get stuck in my head all the time.
Well, then maybe my placement's not as controversial as I thought it was going to be then. I'm going B tier.
Nice.
um, which I thought a lot of people would be like, what are you talking about? That's S tier, that's A tier.
Wow. So yeah,
Um,
I would be the opposite. I would think people would be like, that's F tier or D tier.
so I'm going B. Biggest reason why is I love Greg Graffin's voice on this album. Like, I think this was his greatest performance up to this point. His voice was so solid throughout it. Um, the probably it's unfair to have one song that really brings it down this far, but Television, holy shit. What is this pile of garbage? What the fuck was that song? That was so terrible.
I like television.
Oh my God. It was like they were just trying to play off, ooh, Tim Armstrong's huge now. Let's get him on a song. I know
I,
that's not what it was, but
yeah.
it's what it came across as. And the song was not good at all. I didn't think so. But yeah, overall, very, very nice, pretty solid album. Greg Graffin was awesome. So I'm going B tier. Hell yeah.
I think maybe I also had the benefit of not knowing Rancid at the time, so it
Yeah.
didn't register with me at all that it sounds like a Rancid song, or it sounds
Yeah.
like a mashup Rancid song.
Oh man, it was so bad. Oh, ugh. Oh, I gotta get this out of my head now. 1996, The Gray Race. Please move
Mm.
on so I can get that song out of my head now.
It shakes the leaves off of every tree violently. What pretension, everlasting peace, everything.
Gray Race is an easy A tier. I know I've had a lot in the A tier here, but I just yeah, there's no way I can't have it up there. It's probably my favorite Bad Religion album. I think maybe even more than No Control and Suffer. I can't even really put my finger on why I like it the best of all of them. And again, I put Suffer in the S tier because it's this close. I mean, Suffer is incredible, obviously, and Gray Race is incredible too, but Suffer just got the nod for the importance. But I mean, those two albums are like neck and neck in terms of my favorites here. Like I said, I can't really put my finger on why. Maybe it's Rick Ocasek's presence in the studio that made a non-Brett Bad Religion album great. Maybe Greg was just like on a heater and felt like he really had something to prove writing this album. Uh, but it just clicks. It feels like
Yeah.
an amalgamation of like all the best Bad Religion sounds that are out there, all put into one. And like you mentioned in the guitarist video, it's Brian Baker's introduction to the band, and it's maybe one of my favorite guitar performances on a punk record ever is his performance on that album. It's just wow, wow. And Bobby's drumming on this album too is so
Solid.
solid and so underrated. And plus, I mean, come on, this album closes with Cease. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. Cease is a
I was gonna
fucking
say,
incredible closer.
I was gonna say, the last four songs on the album, just the combo of the way those last four songs flow. Oh my God, it's so good. So yeah, I'm also A tier on that one as well. Solid A.
Awesome. Yeah.
I that's probably and a lot of people I don't think would rate it an A, and it's just so underrated. It feels like I feel like a lot of people love it. They just maybe not know it that well. I don't know.
I don't,
It's
does it get,
great.
it gets swept off because it's another major? It's the Atlantic years, Bad
Yeah,
Religion. Yeah, I
and
don't
they
know.
changed because they had Brian Baker and no Brett written songs, so it definitely had a much different sound. So
Yeah.
maybe that's where it is. But yeah, it was a great album.
It had a much different sound in a way that was still so very Bad Religion. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it wasn't like some of the
I
other
think
like experimental stuff that they've done.
well, Greg Graffin tends to write more straightforward songs, and I think
Yeah.
that's kind of what it is on this album. Is it's what 12 songs, 13 songs? I don't remember how many are actually
I
on the
think
album.
I think it's 14, but yeah.
14. So they're all much more in that Greg Graffin style.
Yeah.
So you don't get any of that Brett kind of more artistic kind of stuff going on whatsoever. It's just much more straightforward songs. So
Yeah.
it's
Makes the
interesting.
whole thing like super cohesive too
Yeah,
throughout. It's got just kind of one, it doesn't have one sound on it necessarily, but it does sound like it was written by one person as opposed to a lot of other Bad Religion albums where from song to song or but even within the song you can tell that there's multiple people, and it's not like there wasn't multiple people involved. I know that Brian Baker, he was involved in the writing process and everything too. But, yeah, that one probably doesn't hurt. I got stuck in my truck CD player for like a month. I couldn't get it out, and so I just listened to it on repeat for like a month, and it's just like ingrained in my soul now.
I wouldn't have been mad about that. Not
No,
one
not
bit.
at all. It's such a easy to listen to album over and over again. So much good stuff to glom onto.
Speaking of stuck in the CD player, let's go to 1998. How would you feel if No Substance would have been stuck in your CD player for a month?
Yeah, probably wouldn't have been very happy about that. I probably would have just not listened to music.
England seems like a beautiful place from afar.
So yeah, no substance ends up in the D tier for me. I won't say too
Nice.
much about it because that album in New America gets shit on enough already as it is. I think there's some redeeming qualities on No Substance. That's again why it ended up in the D tier because it is like a singles only setting for me where there's a couple songs that I'm not mad about hearing. Um, but there's just so many better Bad Religion albums to enjoy. And the lowlights on that album just completely kills it in terms of listening to it in an album, like front to back setting. So a couple singles here and there, but No Substance is definitely a D tier for me.
Oh, this is my absolute bottom of the barrel, easy, no competition F. I will listen to Into the Unknown any day before I jump in to No Substance. I mean, it is the most appropriately titled album I've ever heard in my life. No Substance, because that's exactly what you get out of this album. It is so bad. I'm going to run through some of this here. All right.
Go for
It
it.
starts with Hear It, which is a decent, sounds like Bad Religion energy. It's nothing horribly crazy or special, but it's a good song. So you're thinking, okay, we're going to get into a pretty decent Bad Religion album, especially coming right off the heels of the Gray Race. So now let's start going through some tracks. Next up, Shades of Truth. Now you're thinking, what the hell was that? Number three, All Fantastic Images comes up next. You're like, oh, that was bad. Next track, The Biggest Killer in American History. You're like, oh, that was fucking garbage. Number five, No Substance. Fucking horrible. Like that song is the most god awful sounding thing I've heard until you get to track number six. Raise Your Voice. What the fuck? I am done listening to the album at this point because there's going to be no redemption no matter what they do. So I'm going to be honest, it had been a long time since I listened to this album. So I did go back and listen to it the other day, and it's as bad as I remember even getting past that. Like after that, they have some songs that have some okay parts, but there's something about it where the structure of the songs where they just keep like at the snap of a finger changing the drum beat or just the overall rhythm or flow of the song just kills everything on this fucking album. I hate it. There was nothing redeemable whatsoever about it. And I hate to say this because we were just singing praises about Bobby Scher, and I absolutely adore Bobby Scher. Wonderful person, one of the nicest guys on the planet. But I think his drumming on this was terrible, absolutely terrible, because the transitions were so rough. And the interesting thing is, I would like to actually, I wish they could have done this album with Brooks Wackerman to see what Brooks
Hmm.
could have done with it. I thought it would have brought a different dynamic and maybe saved some of it. It probably wouldn't have saved like all the songwriting, but it would have been
Yeah.
different. So absolute no questions asked. F. It's probably you could put up like the worst albums in the world, have me do a tier, and I would probably still put this in the F tier.
Maybe Bobby got hamstrung by the not so great writing too. Is like when the straight like the drummer's not writing a song, so if a kind of crappy song comes into the studio, the drummers kind of got to do what they got to do with
Yeah,
it.
and the song's just like, oh, we're gonna take it from here to here. Figure it out, Bobby. It's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. Maybe Greg used up all his like great writing ideas on Gray Race for that time frame. There was nothing left in the tank for No Substance. I'm also
Oh
gl
man.
I'm also glad that like after what doing this for a year and a half or so, like it's well known that you don't like No Substance, but you never
Oh,
say much about it other than I don't like it. I think it's their worst album. I'm glad that you finally had this platform to like
me
just
too.
purge, just get it all out.
That was like therapy. Oh
Yeah.
man, that was great. Thank you everybody for listening to my rage, go on my little tangent of anger. Well, let's see if we can get better with 2002, New America.
Some people never go away, 'cause you got something to say.
New America's also D tier for me. I there's a couple I think more songs on New America that I enjoy than No Substance, but you could pretty much copy and paste what I said about No Substance for New America. It's just kind of blah. Some okay songs, but the rest of it just kills it in terms of a an overall album setting. And I actually don't have a lot to say about either one of these because I really don't listen to them hardly ever. So I can't even like point to a specific song or a specific point in the album that I don't like, um, or why I don't like it. It's just not very enjoyable in my ear.
Well, this is going to surprise you, I'm sure, because this is another one I've trashed a lot. But I went back and listened to it like I was some of the other albums, just to kind of refamiliarize myself. I ended up listening to this one twice during that because I started catching a lot of things that I actually found some really good songs and some really good writing in there. It has a few that are not great, but I didn't find anything horribly terrible on this album. But it's got some absolutely fucking great songs. I mean, the opener and closer, You've Got a Chance and Don't Sell Me Short. Holy shit, those are great songs. You got great songs like A Street Kid Named Desire, I really liked. Believe It was really good. Um, I think I kind of got stuck on trashing this album because the song I think of most often is I Love My Computer,
Yeah.
which if you strip away the noise, the stupid noises that they added in there, it would be a better song without that. So all around, I'm actually going to throw this in the C tier. I was shocked. I thought for sure it was going to go in the D tier, but I actually ended up enjoying quite a bit of it. So go figure. You learn
Yeah.
something when you like let go and try it again. So
Yep. No, that's great. Like I said, you probably bring a little more expertise to these two albums than I do too. I'm sure you have more experience with them. I pretty much like wrote No Substance off. I don't know, within a month of it coming out or so that I was like, yeah, I don't know if I ever need to listen to this ever again. I did
yeah,
for this exercise, but I mean, yeah, I've maybe listened to it 3 times in my life.
yeah. And I'll tell you right now, it's absolute S tier compared to No Substance. So I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, 2002, we're going to a whole new era of Bad Religion once again. We got the return of Brett to the band. We now have Brooks Wackerman in the band. So we have The Process of Belief.
I act sharp, but feel uncertain. Cause next time it could be curtains. Evangeline, conspirator so fine, let me a thinker's mind.
How'd you feel on that?
B tier. It's maybe the most interesting to me collection of Bad Religion songs that are out there. Really, obviously, felt like another massive sonic shift in their career, but uh, experimental, but not in the same way that Into the Unknown or I would even call No Substance kind of experimental. Not, it's experimental in a way that felt better thought out, felt meticulously crafted, whereas those other albums just kind of felt like they got kind of just thrown together and put out because it was something to put out. Like you said, the Brooks and Brett edition, it's obvious and it can't be understated. But I think everybody's got great performances on this one. I think the songwriting brought the best out in everybody. Jay's got some really, really, really nice bass parts that pop on this album that maybe you don't hear on some other Bad Religion stuff. And man, the songs that hit hard, they hit hard. And just the way this album introduces itself in the first three songs or whatever is like,
Mm-hmm.
God damn, like kicking the
Brought some
door down.
energy.
Yeah, straight out of the gate. Like never heard Bad Religion doing anything that fast or that. I don't know. It maybe not that fast, but there was just something about those songs that felt like if you had it at 10, like that was taking it up to 11 for Bad Religion. So
It
I
was
really do
Brooks
love this one.
Wackerman, is what it was.
Yeah,
Just
no,
his
I
style was like,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, great addition, man. That really it changed the band for sure. So
Yeah.
yeah, easy B's here for me. Couple songs on there that I'm like, if I was listening to it on the whole, because I've heard it so many times now, there's probably some that I'll just be like, I don't have time for this. I'm gonna move on to the next song.
Yeah.
But yeah, not too many.
Yeah, I'm in that same boat. I'm right there with you, B tier. And it's because of that same reason. There's just a couple of songs that they're not bad. They're just not, they're well written. They're just not exciting in any way. They kind of drag on a little bit. But yeah, good solid album. Good intro to Brooks. And I think it helped with the songwriting that Greg didn't have to do it alone anymore. He's got his partner in crime back. So that helped a lot as well. So, yeah, both of us solid B for the process of belief. And they followed that up in 2004 with The Empire Strikes First.
Anymore, only temporary reprieve. And the world might cease if we fail to tame the beast. From the faith that you release comes an atheist peace.
What do you got on that?
That one's going C tier. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised by that. It was one that I hadn't listened to in quite a while, and I went back and I remembered liking it a lot better than I did when I came back to it now, listening to it again for this. It was like kind of like what I thought the next progression would be after Process came out. But there ended up being just a little bit more like straightforward modern Bad Religion sound on it, which is fine. I think my main issue with it is I really, really enjoy the A side, and I think the B side just kind of it just kind of falls off as it goes on. I almost wish they'd had sequenced it differently to kind of mix everything up a little bit more, so it's not so there's not such a hard like delineation at the bit, between front and back. It just feels like it's just kind of front loaded, and the kind of mess songs just kind of got thrown on the backside of it. But that's just my personal takeaway from it. So yeah, I'm gonna go C tier. It's kind of like I said, 50-50 album for me.
Yeah, that one, I'm going B tier. Um, it's got a different energy than Process of Belief, which I think is cool that they kind of reinvented the sound that they started there. And it has some really awesome songs. It's not their greatest, but it's so far from their worst that I can't drop it down to C tier. So I'm going to go B tier. Empire Strikes First. Well, that's all I'm going to say on that one. So jump ahead, 2007, New
Mhm.
Maps of Hell.
Susurrations that can expand beyond all hope of light and plunge us into unrelenting night.
New Maps of Hell goes up in the B tier for me. I really like the production and the aesthetic on that album. Songs are just really well written. It's probably my mind, playing tricks on me, but it feels like the album that 1982 them would have written in 2007. And I know that's like really on the nose because it's called New Maps of Hell and everything. And that's kind of like the vibe they're going for. But yeah, that's what it feels like to me. And I was realizing I haven't actually listened to this album a lot over the years, but when I do go back and listen to it, I know every single song on it. I know the lyrics, the melodies, and it kind of surprises me every time where I'm like, oh wait, I can't believe I remember this song because I hardly ever listened. So that's I think the mark of a good album right there is like it's stuck with me even though I don't listen to it very much. And I find that a lot with albums where I'm like, why don't I listen to this? It's so good. And this was one of those albums that going back and doing this exercise, I was like, what the fuck am I thinking? I need to listen to this album more often. Like I obviously know it, so it made an impact.
Well, this is the one that if I didn't have Suffer, if I was just going off of absolute favorites, this would have been my S tier.
Wow, hell
So it's
yeah.
a solid A plus. I don't know what it is about this album. I just absolutely love everything about it. There's not a single bad song on it. And there's so many that just stand out. So creatively different than stuff they've done before while still retaining the Bad Religion sound. I mean, it kicks off with 52 seconds, I think is one of the just strangest intros that they've done for an album, just the overall sound of it, and it's awesome. And then it has songs like Honest Goodbye. They do so many little things in that, kind of production choices, especially on the vocals that make the vocals sound, they just drop down, growly kind of things here and there, and just an interesting rhythm to it. So I love Honest Goodbye. You got songs like Dearly Beloved, followed right after that. That song is absolutely fantastic. Prodigal Son, Lost Pilgrim, Submission Complete, Fields of Mars. Like this thing is just not a single bad song on it. Everything is so good. Definitely one of my very personal favorites. So definite A tier for me.
Nice. I'm really glad to hear your
New
take on
Maps
that
of
because
Hell.
that's one of those albums. I have a hard time with this in general, where sometimes I hear an album and I'm just like, it just like sits with me in a way that I can't articulate. It's just like, I love this thing. It's so good, but I can't say why exactly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I just really, really like it. So thank you for being more articulate about it.
I have a hard time saying what it is exactly about it that I love. It's just it's
It's
unique,
good. It's just, yeah,
It's
it's good.
good. It's a good unique. Like they didn't stray too far from the norm,
Mhm.
but in some ways they did, while keeping it the same. I don't know. That probably makes no sense, but
No, just solid songwriting. I mean, if we knew more, we could probably nerd out about like why each song is well written. But that's just what I would say of it. It's just like it's so solidly written.
so we've got three albums left to go.
Only three.
And I find this era right here to be very interesting. So
Yeah,
we've got 2010, Descent of Man.
325, the council defies a set of sacred testaments, transparent and wise. The truth is only ever relied on that which we agree.
that goes in C tier, and I kind of surprised myself with that. It's another one that I've maybe listened to that album like four times in my life. So made a point to go back and listen to it before doing this, and found myself thinking, hey, there's some like really cool and interesting melodic moments on this album. There's also some like really cleverly written rippers on here. Again, they kind of this one brings a little bit more of that Americana undertone back into the songs. Um, but I do think it's like overall a little bit of a muddled album in terms of styles, and it really truly fits that 50-50 theme I'm going for here in the C tier, where I enjoy half of it and I could kind of leave the other half. But I was really surprised how much I enjoyed the half of it that I did enjoy. Just not very familiar with it. I guess I never gave it a fair
Yeah.
shake.
Yeah, I'm also in C tier with you. And here's what I find these next three albums, that one plus the next two. This kind of feels like an era where from here on out, everything that's being written isn't necessarily a Greg song. It's not necessarily a Brett song. It really truly feels like they're writing songs completely together because there's
Yeah,
elements of both their writing in everything that happens from here on out throughout their last couple of albums.
yeah, that's
So
a
I
great
found
way
that
to put
really
it.
interesting. And I'm gonna say this about this, and the next album is basically I can copy and paste it. Is I really like the A side. and then it really falls off in the B side. So kind of like what you said with which one was it?
Yeah, Empire.
Empire.
Mhm.
I kind of feel that on The Descent of Man and next album, True North. So for those reasons, I'm just going to go ahead and throw my True North one. I'm going to put both of these at C.
I'll strike it if I don't like it. Give me a crowd and I will have myself a riot. I'm a monkey with a brick on my shoulder, and I'm getting bolder.
What's interesting is I think the A side on True North is even more stronger and powerful than the A side of Descent of Man, but the B side falls off more on True North than it does on The Descent of Man. So that's why they're pretty much exactly tied. But both of them, once again, like I was saying, feels like it's so co-written between Greg and Brett on every song together rather than individual songs,
Mhm.
which makes so every song is really well written. So nothing wrong with C.
Yeah, no, not at all. I also have True North in the C tier. Yeah, for sure. I don't really have a lot to say about that album. It exists. It's like it's 16 tracks of pretty standard Bad Religion with nothing that really super stands out to me, but nothing that's really terrible either. If I added like the whole thing to a playlist, I'd be more than happy if any song came up there in a singles setting. And even listening to it front to back, it's like fine. But it just kind of like all leads into itself over the course of the album. I can't really differentiate one song from the other. So it's just kind of a not great, but not horrible Bad Religion album. Don't really have many
Now,
feelings about it.
what's that?
I don't really have many feelings about it. It just
Yeah,
is.
it is.
Yeah.
It exists.
Yep.
Does Age of Unreason 2019, does that one exist a little more, a little less?
But nobody's home. There comes a time when you look up to the sky.
A little less. It goes in the D tier, but I think I could probably copy and paste again what I said about True North. So it's like the the songs that I like are pretty good, and if you listen to it as a whole, it just all kind of like blah, just bleeds together a little bit. Although I will say that the low points on Age of Unreason are much lower than on True North. There's some songs on Age of Unreason where that they're not bad, but just from a Bad Religion standpoint, it's kind of like what is this? But it's also understandable too, because obviously the lineup is quite a bit different on Age of Unreason.
Yeah.
And it comes through in the sound, I think, a little bit. There's even like more of a I don't know how to describe it, more of like a mainstream rock feel, but not in a major label kind of way, just in like a that's an influence they wanted to bring to the album, and that's how Bad Religion brings it. But it wasn't like they were trying to do anything specific or copy anybody. It's just kind of, I don't know. I could be throwing spaghetti at a wall here, but yeah. Age of Unreason is going to go in D tier.
Well, I was actually kind of surprised when I went and listened to this. This is another one, probably the album I am absolutely least familiar with Bad Religion whatsoever. I just never listened to it much. So I did end up listening to this one a couple of times and found myself pleasantly surprised with it. So I'm jumping up. I'm B tier on this one.
Wow.
I think it has some interesting things going on for it. Number one, this is the first album that Brooks left the band, so now we've got Jamie Miller on drums. One of the things I liked about that is it kind of changed the band again as far as like a dynamic. But what Jamie did, he felt like kind of a mix of every drummer they've had
Yeah,
in a
that's very
way,
true. Mhm.
where he's got a lot of the speed and talent that Brooks can do. He's got the powerhouse that, Bobby Shayer could do. And he's got some of just like the creativity, I guess would be the word that I would use for it, that Pete Feinstein would do. So I found the drums to be really cool on this. And it's also the first album without Greg Hudson.
Yep.
Like he's been with them forever. And finally, now we have Mike Dimkich, and that's probably what kind of brings in more of the rock element
Yeah,
sound
exactly.
to it.
Mhm.
Um, but this one, there's just something about it. Like, so they came up with so many interesting song structures and melodies to go along with those. Uh, this one even like unlike the last two albums didn't really have any like heavier bangers. This one actually had like two that I thought kind of hit in that more solid, faster punk rock thing. Rest of it was kind of mellow, but the songwriting was absolutely solid. So I'm gonna go B tier. I liked it. I was
Yeah, that
surprised by that.
that actually is kind of making me like reframe my thinking on it. I probably have not given this album a fair shake. It's kind of newer, so I hadn't really heard it for that reason. Um, and when I was going through and listening for doing this, it's obviously the last album in the catalog. So by the time I got to this one, I probably was just like not listening as intently. And I was maybe, yeah, just skipping around or, fast forwarding through some stuff or just like, all right, I've listened to 16 Bad Religion albums
Yeah.
already.
I
So
guess that's probably kind of the problem. I think a lot of people skipped over this album because of that reason. They're like, man, we've been doing this since the early 80s. We got another album. What? This doesn't even have Hedson on it. What? This doesn't even have Brooks on it. Who's this Mike guy? Who's this James? What the hell is this? But I just think people slept on it. It's not your
yeah,
typical Bad Religion album in any way. I'm not saying that. But again, to me, it's just the songwriting was so good. So
yeah, that's making me want to go back and like really sit down and give it a good full like deep dive listen because I think my initial takeaway is like it sounds like old dudes making punk rock, which is totally fine, but
it's
it's
exactly what it is, though.
it's exactly what it is. Yeah, no, I mean I think about like At Peace where I'm like how much At Peace changed. And I'm like, well, it makes sense because Jord can't do the stuff that he used to be able to do. Like physically, he literally can't anymore. And I just, yeah, wonder how much Bad Religion's got a little bit of that going on to her. Like, we got to change the sound a little bit, guys, so that we can actually play this shit live for like 2 hours.
Absolutely. I mean, Brett's got the best job in the world. Speaking of doing that, he just has to write songs and show up and record and then be like, you guys have fun on the road. See you
Yeah,
when you get
exactly.
home. Here's your sandwiches. Take them with you.
Well, man,
Well,
my main takeaway from this is that I need to go listen to Age of Unreason
yeah.
again.
Yeah, you might not hit it. It might not hit you the same way it hit me. I don't know.
Oh,
It was basically the second time I was listening to it that I was really noticing that about the drums more than anything. Like first time through, I was like, yeah, this is kind of a simple album
mhm.
with some pretty good melodies, some good songwriting. But it was something about Jamie Miller's drumming that really started to resonate to be like, wow, this is cool. This is different.
Nice.
So
That's what you need sometimes is some outside force being like, this was actually pretty good. Like, oh
yeah.
man, I might have missed something there.
Well, there you go, everybody. 17 Bad Religion albums, all ranked for you. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people disagreeing with things here and there, but that's okay. Once again, it's our opinions.
Yeah.
We no arguments with wherever you guys would rank them at. So,
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like no Bad Religion album is well, I guess we did say with no substance, but let's say 99% of Bad Religion albums could go anywhere you want them to go.
anywhere.
Anywhere you want them to go. Like I said, it's all that's the beauty of tier lists, right? They're meant to rank personal preference, and we love that.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what band we come up with for next one. Hopefully, it won't be 17 albums, so we can actually take a breath here and there. Would be good, but that was fun. I think it was a good place to start with Bad Religion. So,
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate y'all.
absolutely. We'll see you guys around.